Okay, so yesterday was just an introduction session. Okay, yesterday was just an introduction session, and I given you a small example and explained you why we require Informatica MDM, right? So the main goal of MDM is to eliminate duplicates. When I say duplicate in database language, what exactly duplicate is? See, please go on mute whenever you have any questions. Unmute and let me know so that recording happens smoothly. Okay, please go on mute whenever you have any questions. Unmute and let me know. Okay, so duplicates, when I say eliminating duplicates, that's not an exact word because duplicate means same record repeating again is called as duplicate. For that, no need to go for MDM. No need to go for MDM. Okay, MDM is a piece of software which tries to identify the similar records. When I say similar records, not exactly same. There is some data variations, misspellings, typos, variations, etc. So MDM is a piece of software which is used for deduplication process. Okay, MDM is a piece of software which is used for deduplication process. Okay, so in the last session, I told you how the master data is identified in MDM, right? So today we'll quickly see the architecture of MDM. Okay, so that things will be crystal clear. Okay, MDM is a three-tier architecture. MDM is a three-tier architecture. The first layer in MDM is database layer. The next layer is application server layer, and the top layer is UI layer, user interface layer. Okay, MDM is a three-tier. MDM is a three-tier architecture. MDM is a three-tier architecture. Okay, database layer, application server layer, and the topmost layer is called as UI layer, user interface layer. Okay, so let me quickly explain this architecture. Hub store. There are two types of databases in MDM. One is called master database, other one is called ORS. ORS is nothing but schema. So if you have basic knowledge into database contain collection of schemas. Schemas contain collection of tables, right? Database contain collection of schemas. Schemas contain collection of tables. In MDM, schema is called as ORS. In MDM, schema is called as ORS. Okay, then what is this master hub store? Can you see something called as master database? This contains all the configuration setting information. Okay, this master database contains all the configuration setting information. Okay, so when you install MDM, it's mandatory you need to have a database in your machine. When you install MDM, it's mandatory you need to have a database in a machine. Why do I require a database why do I require a database? What is the necessity of database to install MDM? MDM is a GUI tool, graphical user interface tool. It's a GUI tool. It doesn't contain any storage area. MDM tool doesn't contain any storage area. So whatever code you are going to develop in MDM, everything stores in database. If you don't have a database, MDM doesn't have a storage area. Okay. So MDM supports three types of database as of now: Oracle, MySQL, DB2. MDM supports three types of databases as of now. MDM can be installed either on Oracle, SQL Server, DB2. Okay. Down the line it might increase, but at this point of time MDM supports only three environments: Oracle, MySQL, DB2. Okay. So Hub store, this is called master database. This is also called as CMS system. When you install MDM, the very first step what you need to do, you need to install Oracle database, and in Oracle database you need to create a schema which is called as hub store. Schema is also called as database. You need to create an hub store, and that hub store contains all the configuration related tables, okay. So in database layer, there are two types of database. One is hub store, other one is ORS. There can be one ORS or there can be multiple ORS. There can be one schema or there can be multiple schemas. Okay, so what is this schema? What is this ORS? Okay, see, Informatica supports a multi-domain edition. Informatica supports multi-domain edition. You understand? Multi-domain edition. At a time, you can master n number of domains. My client has banking as well as insurance. My client deals with banking customers as well as insurance customers. So using MDM, in MDM, I can master banking customers as well as insurance customers. Nothing but different domains I can handle. Whereas if you take Civil gives you a schema. Let us assume I'm dealing with customer related information, telecom data. Then Civil will give you a schema, which is a predefined schema. You can't create your own table structures. It's a predefined schema. You can't add your own tables. But MDM gives you an open schema. Whatever tables you would like to create, you can create your own tables. You understand what I'm trying to tell you? See, there's a concept called as data model. What is data model? Collection of tables and defining the relationship among them. That is data model. When you are working with Civil MDM, when you are working with other MDM tools like Civil MDM, why I'm taking Civil means I work with Civil. That's the reason I'm comparing with Civil. When we used to work with Civil MDM, there we are not allowed to create any tables. It's a predefined data model. When they give you customer domain, you can work only customer related information. You can't master product or healthcare or other domain information. But MDM, Informatica MDM, it gives you an open platform. You can create your own table structures and you can create your own data model. So that's the reason Informatica MDM is called as multi-domain edition. I hope you understand what is multi-domain edition. At a time you can master multiple domains. Okay. So there should be one ORS, there should be at least one ORS, or there can be n number of ORS. So what is ORS? ORS is nothing but collection of tables. What kind of tables? System tables, user defined tables. System tables, user defined tables. So what is this user defined tables? See, always I'm telling I identify the master data, right? I identify the master data. I identify master data, right? So data is nothing but information. Data is nothing but information. So what type of attributes, what type of data you get from source? What type of data you get from source? What type of data you get from source? Let us take an example of customer like telecom domain. You will be getting party table, contact table, address table. Or else, okay, forget about different tables. Generally, what textual information you get? Name, address line 1, address line 2, postal code, phone number, email ID, fax number, zip code. These are the few information what you get from different channels. Okay. So in MDM, if you remember yesterday's session, will you directly identify the master data? You get data from different source systems. From different source systems, you get data into landing area. From landing, you get data into stage process. From stage, you get data into base object. This is a different process. So what all tables are created in ORS? Operational reference schema. So what all tables will be created in ORS? Landing table, stage table, base object. These are the different tables what you are going to create in ORS, right? These are the different tables what you are going to create in ORS. I'll do one thing. Before explaining this architecture, before explaining this view of architecture, I would like to complete this diagram. Same architecture but with different views. I would like to complete this diagram, then I would like to explain that point of view, okay, so that things will be clear. Okay, yesterday if you remember, I explained you the architecture of MDM. Let me repeat again. See, these are the different source systems. See, In MDM, the main goal of MDM is to identify the master data, is to identify the best version of truth. Okay. So to identify the best version of truth, first of all, you need to get the data into your environment. So you get data from different channels where the business happens. From different channels where the business happens. These are the source systems. A system which provides the data, right? These are the different source systems. The hexagon diagram, what you are able to see, these are where roles and responsibility of an MDM developer lies. Okay. These are the roles and responsibility where an MDM developer lies. Okay. So how do you get data from source system to MDM? The entry point in MDM is landing area. If you look at my cursor, the entry point in MDM is landing area. The entry point in MDM is landing area. So how do you get data from source to land? Different ways you can get. Using Informatica Power Center. If your client doesn't give you license towards Power Center, using procedures, using SQL loaders, there are different ways where you can copy the data from source system to landing area. This is not the job of an MDM developer. This is out of box to an MDM developer. This job is taken care by ETL team. Once the data got dumped into landing area, then only our roles and responsibility starts. Okay. So if you see here, MDM receives the data. Please try to understand. MDM receives the data and MDM identifies the master data. Then will it keep with itself after identifying the master data? It has to publish the master data. It has to publish what data it has, what master data it has identified. It has to publish that master data to the downstream subscribers. Then only it makes sense, right? So MDM gets the data in two ways. Batch mode. MDM gets data in two ways. Batch mode and real-time mode. Please try to understand, this is very important. If you understand this architecture, with this only architecture knowledge, people ask every interview. Trust me. But not now. It was 1 year back. Okay. Batch mode, real-time mode. Okay. This is called inbound service. This is called inbound. I hope nothing to explain about inbound and outbound. This is called inbound. Okay, MDM gets data in batch mode as well as real-time mode. Okay, and this is called outbound service. After you get the data, after you identify the master data, you need to publish the master data to the downstream subscribers. Right? Again, two ways: batch mode, real-time mode. Okay, batch mode, real-time mode. Okay. So when I say batch mode, yesterday I told you, morning 9 to 6 business happens. As soon as the business got closure, what happens? Whatever information they have collected in different channels, they process the data to MDM. These are called scheduled jobs. Real-time mode means as soon as event happen in the application source system, immediately that event has to get into MDM. Near real time. At least 5 to 6 seconds delay. So that is called real time. 99% batch mode is handled by ETL. Batch mode is handled by ETL, and real time mode is handled by, this is very, very, very important, SIF. Real time mode is handled by SIF, which is called as Service Integration Framework. Okay. Inbound batch mode is handled by ETL process. Inbound real-time mode is handled by SIF process, Service Integration Framework. There is a separate session on SIF, no worries. Okay, you get data into MDM and you do all the things what you do in MDM. Finally what you do, you are going to publish the master data. Again, batch mode is handled by ETL. Real-time mode is handled by JMSQ, and this is a separate session, JMSQ. Outbound real-time service is handled by JMSQ. Inbound real-time service is handled by SIF. After this session get complete, you have a good understanding on inbound real-time service as well as outbound real-time service. How to configure a queue, what is a queue, how to integrate that queue with MDM, and how do I get whatever transactions, whatever event, whatever change request happen in MDM, how that change will be replicated to the queue. This all you will understand once the course get complete. Okay. Okay. So this is a landing area where you get the data from different channels. So why can't I identify the master data on landing area itself? Yesterday I told you an example. See, different channels, I'm getting the data from different source systems. Each source system has its own uniqueness of collecting the data and its own data pollution problems, right? So if I directly define a matching, see, how will you identify the master data? Yesterday I told you, like, by executing the match process. What is matching? Comparing two records with each other. As a layman, what is matching? Comparing two records with each other and try to identify whether they are exactly match or possible match. Whether they are exactly match or possible match. In MDM, once match got completed, you get the clarity, two records or n number of records, whether they are exactly match, possible match or no match, right? So how that exact match and possible match is going to happen? Based on the match rules what you define. What is a match rule? Match rule contain combination of match columns. Okay. If I have 10 columns, I can't compare 10 columns in all the source systems. I need to include the key columns. Okay. Let us assume I define a match rule. Name, address, date of birth. If these three columns, whatever input data you get from different channels, if these three columns got matched, then create a pair. If these three columns got matched, create a pair. Okay. Name, address getting matched. But what happened? Date of birth is mismatching because from one source system I'm getting in DD, MM, YY. Another source system I'm getting MM, DD, YY. And from some other source system I'm getting in different format. So always in a match rule, match columns acts as AND class. So what is going to happen here? Even though you are done with match process and even though you are done with match and merge process, still you end up with duplicates. For same customer, you have multiple entries. That is not accepted. That is not. What is the necessity of implementing MDM? I don't want to see different instances of the same customer. I would like to see the best version of truth. I would like to see the unique record per customer. I don't want to see multiple instances of the same customer. You understand, right? So that's the reason instead of identifying the master data directly on the landing table, there are set of process involved. Okay, so first you get the data in landing table. From landing table you copy the data in stage table, right? From landing table you copy the data in stage table. A very regular basic interview question: what is stage? What all things happen in stage process? What all things happen in stage process? First of all, you create mapping. You create mappings to copy the data from land to stage. This is land table. This is stage table. How do you get data from land to stage? Using mappings. What is mapping? It's a data flow diagram which explains us how data flows from source to target. When I show you tool, you'll understand how the mapping looks like. But for the time being, just try to understand. Mapping is a data flow diagram which tells us how data flow from source to target. Okay? How data flow from source to target. Okay. What all things happen? What all things you configure in stage process? Delta detection. I think yesterday I explained all this, but again I am repeating. Delta detection. So you have two types of loads: full load, delta load. What is full load? What is delta load? What is the difference? See, in any project you have three environments, or in any software you have three environments: development, test, production. In development, you test with all dummy data, and once you feel that the code, whatever requirement is given to you, you have done with your development, then you deploy the code into test. In the test, users will test the data and they give you sign off, and then the code will be moved into production. That is actually important. That is monitored by business. When the code is moved into production, first time when you run the job, in my source system, if I have 100 records, 100 records are processed to MDM, right? 100 records are processed to MDM. Okay. Business is an ongoing process. It's not one time you run the job and you stop it. Today I process 100 records. Okay. Next day when I process, let us assume in this timestamp 10 new records got inserted, 10 new customers got introduced to your business, and 5 customers got changed. 10 new customers got introduced to your business and 5 customers got changed. So next time when I run the job, why do I want to extract one-time records from sources? Total 100. In 100, 10 are new customers. Okay. So why do I want to extract one-time records? Why can't I extract? What happens if I extract all the records from source? Okay. Let us assume I extract 110 records from sources. But when I load the data, what is going to happen? 10 records will go for insert, which are brand new, and remaining records, what is going to happen? 5 records will go for update. Genuinely, there is change in the data, and remaining 95 records unnecessarily you are updating in base object or in MDM. Update is always a costly operation. Update is always a costly operation. So what you need to do? You need to define a logic such a way which identifies, which try to pull the new record from source system. When I say new record, what you understand by this? A record which is available in source system, the same record is not there in MDM. That is called as new record. What record you get from source, that record doesn't exist in MDM. That is called new record. And also I need to identify an existing record. That means what record I have in source, that record already exists in MDM, but there is change in the data. I need to build a logic such a way it identifies the new records and change records and skips or ignores the existing records with no change. I hope you understand. So that process is called delta detection. In Power Center, if you people are from Power Center background, we do a lot of things to achieve delta detection. You go with control table concept, or you go with mapping variable. You do a number of things to achieve in Power Center. But in MDM, trust me, it's very simple. Just you enable one option and tool will handle the delta detection. No need to write any code. But you need to know what happens in the backend. This I'll explain you when I discuss stage process. Okay, this is an architecture explanation, so I don't want to go in detail. Okay, so I hope you understand what is delta detection. Incrementally extracting source data is called as delta detection. Delta detection is a mechanism which identifies the new records and change records in the source system and process to MDM. That is a concept called as delta detection. This can also be called as delta loads. Next one, cleansing. Yeah, this is very important. Cleansing is nothing but...
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
So stage is not a truncate and load, right? So it's like you keep appending.
No. Stage is a truncate load. When you create a stage table, you have it. When you enable delta detection, a table is going to be created in the backend that is called STG underscore previous landing table. So there delta detection, it compares the landing table with previous landing table. Land stage, both are truncate loads. This I'll explain you in the next session when I discuss stage process, how exactly delta detection is going to be happen. I understand your question. Your question is if stage table should not be truncate, then only it compares landing with stage and it pulls the new and existing data. But no, not stage data. When you create the stage table and when you enable delta detection, in the back end another table is going to be created that is called STG underscore previous landing table. And I'll tell you the significance of that. Okay.
Okay. One more question is: is there any situation can we skip the stage and do a direct landing to base object?
Yeah. See, generally, yeah. In my project, we used to get full load and delta loads. So for the first time when we run the job, we used to get the full load. Remaining all the days we used to get delta loads. So whenever we used to get full load, whenever we used to get full load, we used to skip the delta detection and we used to do the complete dump. And when we get delta loads, we used to create another mappings where we used to configure the delta detection. But here in MDM, I'm talking about civil MDM. In Informatica MDM, you can't skip the stage process. You can't skip the stage process. For the real-time mode, you can skip the stage process. You can directly dump the data into base objects. But in the batch process flow, I told you, right, there are two process flows. The question asked is, in some scenarios, I would like to skip the stage table. Is that possible in MDM? This is a question which is asked and it's a very good question. So my explanation is, there are two modes where you get the data into MDM. Batch mode, real-time mode. Using real-time mode, you can skip the stage process and you can directly dump the data into base objects. Okay? You can directly dump the data into base objects. When you work with batch mode, you can't directly dump the data into base objects. You can't directly dump the data into base objects because you create a mapping to copy the data from land to stage. and stage is derived from the base object. So data has to go from stage to base. But I can skip this cleansing process in MDM. You understand, right? I can skip this cleansing process. What do you mean by this? Landing to stage, in between you create mappings and you clean the data, right? That you can skip and you can directly dump it to the stage tables. That is called platform staging, Informatica platform staging, which got introduced from Informatica MDM 10.0 onwards. That is called platform staging, where you can skip the mapping and you can directly dump the data into stage process. Am I clear?
Okay, Vamshi. Yeah. So it's like we assume the data is already cleansed, and um, in that case we dump. I mean, we skip, right?
When data is already cleansed, you won't use any cleanse functions, cleanse list, graph functions. You directly do one-on-one. You just drag the columns from land and you map it to stage. Why I need to do this? Because you can't directly load the data into base objects, because there are no mappings which load the data into base object directly. In MDM, mappings are used to load the data into stage table. From there, you just have a process that is called load process. When you run the load process, whatever data is there in stage, it automatically copy into the base object. Stage is derived from the base object. This all you will understand when I get into the tool.
Okay. Yeah, I kind of got it, but maybe as you said,
generally people work like you people. I mean, most of the people are from power center background. So I'm also from power center.
Yeah, I'm from power center.
So generally, generally we relate those two platforms and we get a lot of questions. I agree. So no worries, you can ask me a number of questions. That's not a problem.
Sure, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Thank you.
Okay, so where I stop? Yeah, cleaning. So cleansing. See, MDM is not a tool to exclusively clean the data. Yesterday I told you, the goal of MDM is to identify the master data, and if you don't provide flexibility to standardize the data, and if you tell the customer, if you would like to clean the data or if you would like to standardize the data into unique format, go with either IDQ or go with either Power Center. Then you are forcing the customer to take another license, with which customer will not be happy. Why he will take a number of licenses? You understand, right? MDM has provided you a flexibility to standardize the data, but MDM is not exclusively standardization tool. For standardization, you have the powerful tool is ETL or else IDQ, where you can standardize the data. MDM also provided you a flexibility to clean the data, and the requirement what is given to you, if you are not able to achieve that requirement with the functions, with the cleanse functions or with the logic what MDM has given, MDM also provides you a flexibility to define your own customized logic in Java, and you can import into MDM. Here Java comes into the picture. Okay. By default, MDM gives some set of cleanse functions. When I say cleanse functions, you can call them as SQL functions. When I say cleanse functions, just a second, please hold on. Okay, I'm sorry. So generally in database we call SQL functions, and in Informatica Power Center we call them as transformations. To convert one form of data into another format as per the business requirements. This is done through SQL functions, transformations. But in MDM, the same concept, we call them as cleanse functions. Cleanse functions, okay? Cleanse functions, nothing but SQL functions. But these cleanse functions are built in Java and they are imported. See, just try to understand. Tomorrow once I open the tool, you will come to know about all these things. For the time being, cleansing is done with cleanse functions. Cleansing means cleaning the data. Conversion of one form of data into another format as per the business requirements. Whatever format you get data from different channels, MDM will accept. MDM will pull the data from different channels. Then, before processing it to base object, before processing it to base object, it will standardize the data in the unique format. You understand, right? That is done in stage process. So I hope you understand cleansing and delta reduction. In a one word, cleansing, conversion of one form of data into another format as per the MDM standards is called as cleansing. We have 3 to 4 sessions on cleansing. No worries, you will be understanding. So where this cleansing comes into the picture? When you create a mapping where you copy the data from land to stage, in between you create cleanse functions, cleanse list, graph functions. Okay, and no data is available in the stage process. Okay, stage to base object. You can see a something called as target data model, right? Stage to base object, you don't require any mappings. There is a process called as load process. As soon as you run the load process, the data is copied from stage and loaded into base object. And if you people are from power center background, you get an idea. What type of data MDM contains? Will it contain historical data or it contains updated data? If yes, is there any STDs in MDM? Okay, this I'll explain you when I talk about load process. So what I'm going to explain, how a record is inserted and how a record is updated. Generally, when you load the data, two things will happen. If it is a new record, it will go for insert. If it's an existing record, it will go for update. But how it handles, how MDM handles, and whether MDM captures the historical data. This is all I'll explain when I talk about load process. Okay. So what all things you do in base object? See, data is there in base objects. So as of now, you understand 3 tables: base objects, stage tables, land tables. So how data flows in MDM? Source to land, land to stage, stage to BO. Okay. Now the magic of MDM starts. What is that? Match and merge. Before match and merge, there is a concept called as trust and validation rule. Yesterday I told you. Let us assume I am getting data from 3 source systems: prepaid system, postpaid system, internet system. Okay. I'm getting million records. MDM has identified John K. Smith. I'm just considering name into the picture. The 3 records belong to the same customer. Now what is the goal of MDM? MDM has to represent the single version of truth, the consolidated record, right? So which name coming from which source system will be survivor? Either from prepaid, postpaid or internet system. Okay, so here comes profiling. Yesterday I told you this. So a lot of profiling is done on the source systems and they'll define the trust score. If you get name from CKR or if you get name from prepaid, assign 50%. If you get name from postpaid, assign 70%. If you get name from internet system, assign 80%. So in the back end, when you execute the merge process, the column coming from which source system has more trust score, that is going to be survivor. That is the concept of trust. So in base objects, what all things you do? In base object, you define the trust scores, you configure the match rules. See, how you will identify how will you identify duplicates or similar records or different records based on matching. So the main goal of MDM is match and merge. The main goal of MDM is match and merge. Matching, a separate 4 to 5 sessions required. So I told a number of times, matching is just comparing 2 records with each other based on the match rules what you define. Okay. So based on the match rules, pairs will be created. Based on that, consolidation is going to happen. Finally, you identify the master data and you publish the master data to the downstream subscribers in 2 ways, either batch mode or real time. Batch mode is handled by ETL. Outbound real-time service mode is handled by JMS queue. This was architecture already I explained yesterday. Now let me come to this architecture. Now you will understand. This is the database layer. MDM is a 3-tier architecture. MDM supports 3-tier architecture. The bottom layer is database layer. So what contains in the database layer? There are 2 databases. Master database, it can also be called as hub store. Other one is called as ORS. There can be one ORS or there can be multiple ORS. ORS is nothing but operational reference store, nothing but a schema. So what ORS contain? Let me tell you. When I say user defined tables and system tables, forget about system tables. Let us talk about user defined tables. So what are user defined tables you have? Landing table, stage table, base objects. These are called user defined tables. So what are system tables? See, MDM is just a GUI tool. MDM is just a GUI tool. Whatever you do over there, it will access to the metadata, it will access to the repository table structures and it will display you the output. So those are called system tables. And I told you one thing, whatever code you develop in MDM, everything stores in database. So which database it stores? It stores in ORS. Where it stores? It stores in system tables. Those tables are called as repos, or you can say repository tables. In MDM, those tables are stored with C underscore repos underscore. There are so many tables. C underscore repos underscore system, C underscore repos underscore user. So those all are called repository tables. Whatever code you develop in MDM, everything will be stored in database. Why? Because MDM doesn't have any storage area. Those tables are called repository tables. I hope you understand. Okay. So you understand the database layer. There are two type of databases. One is called HubStore. HubStore is created at the time of installation, and HubStore contains all the configuration, setting, user information, and all the admin related things are stored in HubStore. ORS, Operational Reference Store, contains user-defined tables and system tables. Whatever code you are going to develop in MDM, everything stores in ORS. Okay. The next layer, the middle layer is called as application server layer. The middle layer is called as application server layer. Okay. See, if you are from Power Center, try to understand. If you are not from Power Center, just ignore. When you are working with Informatica Power Center, you have two servers. One is called integration service, other one is called repository service. Yet, these are two servers which are there in Informatica Power Center. If integration service is down, you can't perform extraction, transformation, loading. If repository service is down, you can't connect to the client components. And where these services are installed in Power Center, in domain, first you need to create a domain. In domain, all the services are registered. The same concept comes in MDM. The middle layer, what you see, is called as application server layer. MDM supports three types of application servers. MDM can be installed in three types of application server, either in JBoss, WebLogic, WebSphere. Okay, JBoss, WebLogic, WebSphere. MDM supports three types of application servers: JBoss, WebLogic, WebSphere. In my training session, I installed MDM in JBoss. Okay, your application server, it can be either JBoss, WebLogic, WebSphere. Okay, once you install the application server, once you install the JBoss, you need to add a user. There you need to deploy your services. So what are the different services in MDM? There are two types. There are 5 to 6 services, but these are important. The services are hub server, can also be called as application server, and other one is called as cleanse math server. These are the two servers. These are the two servers. Hub server, cleanse math server. Hub server, cleanse math server. You understand what I am trying to tell you? In Power Center, how we have integration service and repository service. In the same way, in MDM, we have two servers. Hub server, cleanse math server. Let me tell you what is the significance of hub server and what is the significance of cleanse math server. What is the significance of hub server and what is the significance of cleanse math server? Okay. Always you need to ensure both the services are up and running fine. So what is the significance of hub server? If hub server is down, you can't connect to the tool. If hub server is down, you can't connect to the tool. Okay. When hub server is up, you can connect to the tool and you can develop your code. What code? We'll discuss later. You can develop your code. When I say code in MDM, what it will be? Creating the mappings, creating the configuring the trust scores, configuring the validation rules, configuring the match rules. Based on the match rules, configuring the survivorship, identifying the master data. This is what you do in MDM. So you can develop the complete code once hub server is up. Hub server is up and cleanse math server is down. What is going on? Even your cleanse math server is down, you can connect to the hub server. You can connect to the tool and you can develop the code. But when you execute the code, cleanse math server should be always up. If Clint Math server is down, what is going to happen? You can develop the code, but you can't process the code. So all the time you need to ensure Hub server, Clint Math server, both are up and running fine. So both are deployed where? Both are deployed in application server. In my training session, I install JBoss as my application server. So you understand, right? If your people are from Power Center, how you create a domain, and in domain you register the services. In the same way in MDM, first you need to install application server, and in the application server, services are deployed. Okay. So this is the database layer, this is the application server layer, and the top layer what you are seeing is UI layer. As a developer, you and I will be in this layer. This all happens in the back end. You won't connect here. You will be here. So there are two type of client components in MDM. One is called 90% you'll be working on this client component, MDM Hub Console. This is one client application, and another client application is called as IDD, Informatica Data Director. Informatica Data Director. MDM Hub Console. This is the tool where you create the code, develop the code, execute the code, monitor the code, administrating also done in the same tool. If in Power Center, you have different client components, repository manager, mapping designer, workflow manager, workflow monitor. You have different client components. Whereas in repository manager, you create a folder, you assign privileges, you do code migration, and in mapping designer, you import source, you import target, you create mappings. So there are different steps. But in MDM, only one tool, you can do everything. You can create the code, you can monitor the code, you can create the code, you can execute the code, you can monitor the code, and you can also do an administration activities. All are implemented using only one tool. That is called MDM Hub Console. So as an MDM developer, you and I will be working on Hub Console. Okay. And whatever you do here, everything stored where? In the database layer. Whatever you do here, everything stored in the database layer. Why? Because MDM doesn't have any storage area. So generally what you do here, you create landing tables, you create stage tables, you create base objects, then you create mappings. In mappings, you configure delta detection, raw table, reject table, cleansing. Then you configure the trust and validation rules, you configure the match and merge rules. Finally, you identify the master data. So many things are there. This all you develop in this layer. So whatever code you develop here, everything stores in database layer. And the other tool is called IDD. This is nothing but Informatica Data Director. This can also be called as Business Data Director. So what is IDD? IDD is a customer monitoring tool which runs on the top of the MDM Hub Console. I repeat, IDD is a customer monitoring tool. IDD is a customer monitoring tool which runs on the top of the MDM Hub Console. So why do we require IDD? See, your business or data stewards or managers don't know MDM. If they would like to access the master data what you identified, and if you gave them tool access, they need to take a separate training and they are not interested to learn technical. IDD is something which is functional related to. It just contains more granularity of GUI features, just dropouts and complete form format. So who is going to configure that framework to them? We need to configure. That is called IDD, which is a customer monitoring tool which runs on the top of the MDM Hub Console. When I say this, whatever code I developed in MDM, the same code is visible there, but in more GUI format, more granularity of GUI format. I hope you understand. That is the concept of IDD. So I hope you understand this architecture. MDM supports three-tier architecture: database layer, application server layer, and the topmost layer is called as UI layer. Database layer contains two types of databases: HubStore, ORS. application server can be configured in 3 areas: JBoss, WebLogic, WebSphere. And in the application services, in the application server, you need to deploy your services. What are the different services there in MDM? Yes, I'm going to share. What are the different services there in MDM? Hub server, CleanSmart server. Guys, please ping me your mail IDs. After this session, I'm going to share your recorded session. So please text me your mail IDs. Hub server, CleanSmart server. So what is the significance of hub server? When hub server is up, then only you can connect to the client components and you can develop the code. If CleanSmart server is up, then only you can execute the code what you have developed, right? So you need to ensure all the time services are up and running fine. Okay. Next, the topmost layer is UI layer, and I elaborated what all UI layer contains. MDM Hub Console, IDD, Informatica MDM Hub Console and IDD, right? In Informatica MDM Hub Console, as a developer, you'll be working over there. And IDD is a customer monitoring tool which runs on the top of the MDM Hub Console. Okay, this is the architecture of MDM, guys. So with this, we are completed with demo. So from tomorrow, what I'll do, I'll open the tool. I'll show you how you can access the tool, and I'll give you a quick walk through the tool. Okay. Till now, I have not shown you tool, right? Till now, I have not shown you tool. I just critically explained. Tomorrow, we'll open the tool and we'll see the GUI of tool. What options are there and what is the significance of each option. A high level walkthrough on the tool. Okay. So that's for the day, guys. If you have any questions, you can ask me and ping me your mail ID so that I can share you today's recorded session.